As most of you know, I've been helping my sister Sid launch her first cold outbound campaigns for her branding and design studios, Studio Rain. In this quick overview, I'll walk you through how we built her finalized clay tables for her first ICPs, from deciding which data points mattered most to crafting AI prompts that pulled in exactly the right insights we wanted to use for personalized variables in our cold outbound. Then I'll show you how we send all of those contacts with their personalized variables for our sequence copy straight into SuperSend to get the campaign ready to launch. If you want to see the full working session where we go step by step, check out the YouTube link in the description. So this is our finalized list of companies Sydney wants to reach out to. The first thing that we did is we found companies that were 2 to 50 employees in the health, wellness, and fitness industry and wellness and fitness services, located in the US. And we really wanted to focus on keywords like yoga, Pilates, med spa, and massage. She didn't want to focus on gyms. So these are the keywords that we wanted to include and exclude from our search. So that's the first search that we did. Once we found that finalized list, we realized that there was a lot of companies on that list that were mostly virtual or online, which also entailed that they were like worldwide. And we also wanted to leave out franchise because we really wanted to target those smaller businesses with 1 to 5 locations. We also wanted to exclude public companies. We also wrote a personalized prompt to either determine if they were qualified or not qualified, and we'll go over that in just a second. That prompt also helped us figure out how many locations these companies had, whether it was 1 to 5. And we realized that some of the companies also had an unknown location, so we wanted to leave those out as well. There are a lot of enrichments that we like to make so that it creates variables for our contacts that are as accurate and as human as possible. I made all my columns visible right now, but I like to hide all of the prompts and variables that I won't be using when I pull over these contacts into SuperSend. It just makes it easier to build that final API. So the first thing that we like to do is we like to normalize the company name. As you can see, this industry really doesn't have extras in their company name. We do this because we don't want to write like LLC in their outbound copy. So for example, when we look at the WellFit Pro LLC, normalizing a company name will just take out that LLC. So that's the first step that we do. So then I like to hide these columns. And this will be the final normalized name. So the first thing that we wanted to do for these studios is we wanted to further qualify them. We always use the Gemini model for our AI prompts. We notice that it's the cheapest option and it really provides the types of answers that we need. We're not really doing crazy deep research. We just want like high level overviews. So when we look at our prompt, we wanted to decide if the company is a qualified boutique or wellness fitness studio. We want them to have under 5 locations total that offers yoga, Pilates, bar, massage or bodywork, med spa, aesthetics, or similar wellness studios offers. We really don't want to include gyms, so we made that clear in the prompt. As you can see, this prompt is really large. Highly recommend using ChatGPT to help you. I typically use a template and our previous qualification prompts that I've used in the past, and I'll have ChatGPT help me edit the prompt to be applicable to the new industry or clay table that I am currently working on. We try to be as detailed as possible. Very long prompt, but in the end, what we're really looking for is we want to know if the company is qualified. For define outputs, we always like to use JSON. If you click that and you do generate from prompt, it will come up with all of those results that are individualized, that are easy to put into their own columns on your table. We're actually able to see like, is this a gym? The final qualification, is it a franchise? How many locations? What's the primary category? And those are the specific output results that we wanted to see in this prompt. So we just qualified them and we wanted the location count to be 1 through 5. There were a lot of location counts that were unknown as well. We also wanted them to be qualified. So in our filters, we changed this to qualified equal to yes, and location count is not equal to unknown. If the location count was over 5, it would have been qualified no. Not to say that Sydney doesn't want to reach out to the companies that have over 5 locations, but this is just the first list of companies that we want to be targeting right now. So the next thing that we did was create an AI prompt to help personalize variables for our email copy. I personally like to do this on a company level, especially because these are like small businesses. Most of the people that we're reaching out to are of similar titles, like president or CEO or owner. So when you're using Clay to personalize variables, as we call them in SuperSend, we like to do that on a company level. We also like to do that on a contact level. I'm not going to show the long version of the prompt, but I'd be happy to share my prompts with you if you're interested. This prompt, we really wanted to find out what are the locations of the studio, whether it's 1 to 5 studios. So we came up with the city. We also wanted to include a review in our copy. So we had our prompt find like a recent positive review. Then we also wanted a more specific studio type. So instead of like a wellness center, this is a wellness and counseling center. And then we also wanted to include a studio offer. Like what is their main focus? What are they focusing on? So we wanted 4 different outputs for this prompt: city, review, studio type, and studio offer. Most of the time, I like to really finalize my prompt, run 10, finalize my prompt for the copy, so that I don't have to run like multiple prompts. But in this case, me and Sydney were, working on the copy together, working on the table together, and then making some small changes. So you'll see what type of small changes we made to fit into our copy. So one thing that we wanted to change is we found that these cities were saying Irvine, California, or New York City, and we wanted to normalize these cities' names to make it more natural sounding. So we wanted to change like Los Angeles to LA, Irvine, California to Irvine, New York City to NYC. So that's the last prompt we ran for our company level variables. So now that we have this table, we ran our people table. We can always go to our source and we can look at what we were looking for. So we searched all of those qualified companies, and we were looking for job titles that included founder, president, owner, chief executive officer, chief marketing officer, partner, chief operating officer, managing director, general manager, creative director, and design. So any keywords and titles that included this, always remember that Clay, if it says chief executive officer, they will also include titles that say CEO as well. So we wanted to make sure that they were located in the United States. And that's kind of like a high level overview of people. So once we found people, we wanted to bring in all of that company data into this table, and it's really easy. Basically, you search company table data and you will need to match the records. So we match the domain or the LinkedIn profile, for example. And this is free in Clay. All you do is you just run that list, and it brings those company level variables individually to the people that we sourced from those companies. I'm going to show all columns and show you like how I like to minimize columns so that we're not looking at everything. So the first AI prompt that we used in this table is we wanted to clean or normalize the first name. We saw that there were Frank J or a question mark Amanda, because these names are coming from LinkedIn mostly. So if there's emojis, it shows up as a question mark. Doctor, it's obviously missing that first name. So we wanted to run a prompt to clean that first name. And when we look at it, it's use the full name, the first name, look at their LinkedIn profile and their company website, and do like a quick search to just make sure that the first name is as simplified as possible. Using Gemini, this costs 0.0001 cents. So it's really worth it to clean your data before you're pulling it into SuperSend so that your outbound is as clean and as natural as possible. So that's the first thing that we did. Then we wanted to also like clean the job title. Because a lot of these titles come from LinkedIn, you might see some funky ones like LMT and owner, or holistic health practitioner. You might see doubles like owner and practice managers, founder and acupuncturist, or acupuncturist and owner. And based on our copy, we wanted it to be as accurate and as simplified as possible based on how that person portrays themselves. So In this prompt, we wanted to specify that by saying, like, based on this person's LinkedIn title, their company website, LinkedIn profile, company name and description, generate a clean, accurate, and short job title that fits naturally into outbound email copy. Use a single role that best reflects their day-to-day identity within the company, not a string of multiple titles. And we also like to include the sentence that the variable would be going into. For example, the goal is to return a single concise title that fits naturally into the sentence. Most titles I speak with. So that's the second cleaning that we did. I like to hide the old titles to make sure that our final table is all of the finalized variables that we want to bring into SuperSend. So the next thing we did is we found the work email. We always do the waterfall. The waterfall works best when your table is turned on for auto update. So if you are doing the waterfall for emails, definitely turn on auto update, but we always like to keep auto update off because as you're updating and working on your prompts, you want to just test a few. You don't want to run your prompts and your columns for the entire table. So make sure that you keep that auto update off until your table and your prompts are really finalized. So once we found the email, then that's when we would add those filters. So we wanted to be sure that it came back with a positive work email. And when we run these work emails, we also run zero bounce validation as well. We have our own API key for that. Zero bounce is great, and we like to exclude catch-all emails, so it only returns emails that are valid and that are not catch-all. Okay, what I'm doing now is I noticed that I still have the filter no clean job title. You can only run Clay tables if you're active on the website. Like, so if you try to run a table overnight, it won't run unless your computer is like on. So I'm going to finish running these clean job titles right now. Okay, so for the purpose of this table, because I didn't actually finish running those clean job titles just yet, I also have that filter on. But the last thing that I want to show you is how easy it is to pull into SuperSend. So you're able to add the enrichment, and if you search SuperSend, you're actually able to click send contact. Once you click that, it will prompt you with a template. So fill out that template, but just know that if you're using normalized name, make sure that you are confirming all of your final variables are the variables being matched that you want to use in your copy. So as we look at the body, the first name, we put the clean first name. For the title, we did the clean job title. For the city, we did the normalized city too. And then for custom variables that we created on our own that aren't already in SuperSend, we added location count, studio type, studio offer, and review. All you have to do is add this custom portion right here and enter your custom variables there. We then will have you add your team ID, your campaign ID, and also your API key down here. We like to also add a condition, only run if work email is not empty. So double exclamation mark means not empty. So I just want to give you a quick insight on how easy it is to add those keys. All you need to do is you need to go to your campaign that you want. You go to campaign settings, you go to integrations, and you're easily able to copy that campaign ID, that API key, and then that team ID as well. I want to show you what that final import of what a contact looks like in SuperSend. So once we go into campaign contacts, we're now able to see all of those specific variables that we brought in. And then we're able to see our personalized variables down at the bottom: studio type, studio offer, location count, and review. And that's it. That's how we use Clay to find companies, find people, personalize variables for our outbound campaigns, import those into SuperSend, and then execute them in a sequence. If you'd like the prompts in full that I used in my Clay table, just let me know. I'd be happy to send them over. Thanks so much.